Hey, folks, want a cheat sheet, a hack for parenting based on your temperaments? All right, we're going through our short series here on parenting your temperaments. We have our quick guide that you can go and download in the show notes to follow along with what we're doing here, put it to work for you. But we're going to be talking about the melancholic today, the superpowers, where we get frustrated, where we miss the mark, and how we can actually approach our kids better, regardless of what their temperament is, to create more connection and peace in our home.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about a melancholic parent parenting a sanguine child. So,
trigger-rich environment. See you guys in there.
Hey, guys.
Hey, welcome back to the Catholic Coaching Podcast. My name is Matt.
And I'm Erin.
And we will be your Catholic coaches for the day. We are continuing on with our series on parenting in your temperaments. We've talked about the extroverted temperaments already, that choleric and the sanguine. Mm-hmm. So if that's you and you haven't heard those yet, you can go back and take a look at those. We're going to be diving into the introverted temperaments for these next two episodes, starting today with the melancholic.
Yes. And this is if you are a parent. So we're talking about the parents' temperaments. So I'm really excited to talk about the melancholic parent. Matt, that is your secondary.
It's a strong secondary for me. So I will be representing we melancholics here today.
Nice. I'm glad that you are, because I'm very low in melancholic. So
yes, it
is like understanding a different language. But yes, so this is going off of, we are riding the coattails of our
do's and don'ts podcast series.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We have like a full on temperament series for parents. So you guys can go back a number of podcasts and start with the do's and don'ts of what to do for each child, each temperament of each child. But these last couple of podcasts that we've been doing have been specifically for the parents. And what we're going to be going over today is obviously melancholic, but we're going to be going through the strengths of the melancholic parent, the common frustrations of the melancholic parent. And then Matt is going to stand in and be that melancholic parent. Yep. And he's going to actually go through, I guess, like it's like a real
scenario. Yeah.
A real mindset coaching scenario.
Yeah. What's a shift? And folks, we're again, the resource that we're using, you can download it for free. Just go in the show notes, or you can go to catholiccoaching.com/free resources and you can pick up a copy for yourself. We have our Parenting in Your Temperaments quick guide. And this is a great resource that you can just go download it, put it to work for yourself, but it's going to give you some insights into your strengths, some of those frustrations that can show up. And it's just a great opportunity to name and claim some of those, the way you show up best and maybe not at your best as a parent. Yeah. And gives you a little bit of that basis of self-awareness for how you can start working towards showing up better, creating more connection and peace within your home.
Yes.
And I got to say, thank you for some of the people that have been reaching out with this podcast series as it's been hitting, and just saying how much it's helping you guys. So we've been seeing some comments on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I'm glad this is blessing you. Somebody commented the other day that she's like, I think I have all 4 temperaments in my 4 children. I think they represent all 4. And it's like, dang, that's some sharpening going on there.
Yes, it is. And I mean, we live in Ave, so everybody has like 1,000 kids here. So everybody usually has like more than one, of each temperament. It's rare that you see these large families not have a variety.
Yes.
So yes, sharpening, certainly the Lord is sharpening you through your vocation. But yeah, so I'm excited to get into this. Yeah. Should we just dive right in?
Let's do it.
Oh, one more thing. If you download this temperaments guide for parenting, be sure to take the temperaments test. Sometimes it's better. Like if you haven't done it in a couple of years or it's been a while, we have a free temperaments assessment. So it would kind of be pointless to download this thing for parents and not know your own temperament.
Yes. Take that step in self-awareness. And if you're sitting here wondering also, especially as melancholic parents, what is the temperament of my child? When you download the quick guide for the parenting in your temperaments, you will also get access to just a real easy printable assessment that you can take on behalf of your child just from your own observations. And it'll start giving you some insights onto where they might fall as far as a dominant temperament.
Yeah, I'm glad we did that.
Cool.
That's really helpful. Okay,
yes.
Let's get into this.
Okay. Strengths of the melancholic.
You go ahead and read them off, and then I'll say if I've seen them in you or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So the first one here is thoughtfulness, and with
Nope. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Wrong.
I'm totally kidding.
Thanks. Name and claim it, right? The melancholic parents are deeply reflective and intentional in their parenting decisions.
Oh, big time.
I can see this in myself where like every once in a while I want to sit down and have kind of a strategy meeting with you. And
you totally do.
I do. Sometimes it can get into a little bit indulgent, and where Erin kind of comes in and compliments is I can kind of get wrapped around my head and be trying to solve a problem that's not really there. It's just like a problem I've created. Like, this is a problem. We have to fix it. And so we have to adjust our routine and do all these things. And Erin's like, I don't know if this is a problem. If it's just like a one-off scenario that kind of popped up. And, I don't know if we have to like change.
Well, I mean, I think this is also a value of like a personal value of melancholics is that excellence, like moving towards excellence, always trying to excel. Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is there's a deep desire for connection, right, in the melancholics. And so even that perfection, in this case, in the parenting relationship, I know what's driving it is like, I want to connect. I want to stay connected. And there's a part of me who wants to keep the harmony. Next thing here is empathy, which is kind of funny because my bottom 5, you'll find empathy right there in my strengths finder.
In strengths finder.
That's because I'm dominant choleric, I would say.
Yeah.
But that empathy, being highly attuned to the emotional sense of the child, where they're at, what are their needs, offering compassion and an understanding presence.
Yeah, I don't think you are that. No offense, but I do think your thoughtfulness makes up for that.
Well, there's I think I think where I notice it and I've grown in this ability is as I've kind of recognized that my daughter, who's melancholic, doesn't necessarily need my choleric logic to come in some of those emotional situations. She needs more of just the companion and just compassionate abiding.
Yeah,
presence.
which brings you to the next one, the attention to detail.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, here's what I would say. You're not naturally empathetic, but you have grown in compassion, the skill or the gift of compassion intentionally.
It's kind of like I've just grown in an understanding of what doesn't work. Right. And so a lot of my choleric solutions, my natural choleric solutions have just been able, okay, let's break this down logically. And we're just going to say, stop doing that. And you'll stop, right. Out of sheer will. And that's not necessarily working. So the Lord has been shaping me through my daughter to kind of get in touch with some of these other areas where I can grow. And just like, it's not going to be a conversation, but it's just going to be sitting down and holding that person or sitting with them. That was like, even there was something yesterday where Avila was upset about something. She's hiding under this desk. And I recognized that I just went under and I sat under the desk with her. And that was it. I didn't try to pull on my lap or anything like that. It was just kind of like an I'm here presence, which worked out well. Okay. Next one is the loyalty.
Wait, did you do attention to detail?
I thought you kind of touched on it, but that's at number 3, attention to detail. That's really noticing the nuances of needs that your kids have and being able to respond accordingly.
Yeah. Providing that tailored support.
Yep.
Okay. Loyalty.
Yeah. Number 4 here, loyalty. A steadfast commitment to creates a secure, dependable environment for the family. I think my choleric certainly likes the structure. My melancholic also enjoys the structure and a little bit of the predictability that's there. And I think that is that dedication to the structure, but also like just I'm going to be here with you. Yeah, like I'm willing to remain with you.
Well, I would say you're always intentional. Maybe this falls into loyalty, intentional about making time for Avila and like spending time with her.
Yeah. My loyalty needs my choleric to create structured spaces where it's like, this is I'm giving you my full attention.
And you guys both like that because you're both smelling like her melancholic loves that too. So yeah. Yep. And then finally depth. Matt is, if we're at some type of event and I'm like, where's Matt? Which actually I ask that question a lot. Matt is wandering off thinking deeply about something. I just know it. So
It's like, oh, there's a field.
There's tremendous.
What a great field to go walk through.
That's right.
By myself.
And get ticks.
I just need a break sometimes, but it's just kind of the pondering, taking it all in. And I, even going through the intensive, we're right now in our academy, we're going through a unique design intensive where we're naming and claiming these different points of awareness for our temperaments. Yesterday, we went through ideal conditions at a group of guys, and it was great just realizing how much I enjoy having that reflective time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And it helps me to show up better.
Yeah. But you deeply connect with her, with others also, but even just fostering that deep and meaningful conversation. And you guys both like that.
Yes. I really desire it.
You guys can. Yeah.
Cool. So if you're a melancholic parent, maybe that's something, or a melancholic teacher. I want to really anybody that's forming children can benefit from this because formation comes through relationship, and all of this exploration, is about how to enter into a deeper relationship with your child. Okay. So when we get into the frustrations, right, we got a little glimpse of the superpowers, which also starts to point towards those things that the melancholic values here as well. When we get into the frustrations, we see where some of those values are coming under attack, or there's a perception that they're coming under attack. Okay. So these these frustrations, I love how you organized it when you put this together, Erin, and we have this all set up in the guide, because as we go through the first four, they kind of say the frustrations that of each temperament child, how they can cause some frustrations in the melancholic. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we look at the choleric and how the choleric child can start to frustrate, I guess, or melancholic parent, it's just with this conflict of independence. So again, choleric children, very strong-willed. They operate very independently. They like discovering things on their own. And they like learning through doing, which can often be in conflict with how the melancholic learns. Melancholic isn't so much a learning by doing, it's more learning by thinking.
Yeah.
All right. So it's much more contemplative, and they want to get it right the first time. The choleric is going to fail forward.
Yeah.
And so,
and that can almost feel like messy, which melancholics don't like messiness, right?
Right.
But also just what the unknown, right? And cholerics have no problem with the unknown. They're kind of like, we're just feeling things out a little bit.
It can almost feel a little bit like a rejection. It could trigger a little bit of rejection sense in the melancholic parent, where it's just like, I'm telling you the way. Like, this is the best way. I've thought about it. I've practiced it. I've learned it. This is the best way. And the choleric child's like, I know the best way. I'm going to find it. And yeah, so that can
or I just need to figure it out, like on my own.
Yes.
Like it's not like, I don't know. I think cholerics get a bad rap for being combative, but I think there's just other values at play.
Yep.
Okay. Number two, struggle with boundaries for the sanguine child.
Yeah, this is, so again, melancholics really love to connect.
They also love order.
And so when we talk about boundaries here, I think it's also that we start to get into a little bit of the boundaries of the focus, right? And so you could be working on something with your sanguine child and a little bit of the flightiness and aloofness, or the squirrel kind of sense can all of a sudden they get very easily distracted. And here, like, I know there's moments where, as a melancholic dealing with, sanguine kids, I don't have a sanguine child myself, but I have lots of nieces and nephews, and it's like, no, I've created the space and I've invested in the space, and we're committed to this space, and we're going to connect in this space, whether it's doing Play-Doh, or we're going to sit down and have, do some arts and crafts, or we're going to set up the bounce house. And when I invest so much in this space, and suddenly you just go, I want to watch a movie, or can I eat something, or like, can we go ride bikes? And it's been 2 minutes in this space. It's kind of like, there's a little bit of disappointment that I even feel, because it's not only I'm losing that connection, or that seems to be under attack. Okay.
Yep.
The emotion for melancholics on melancholic, a little blue on blue here.
We do see this in our house. Emotional overlap.
I want you to speak to this one, Erin.
Okay. A melancholic child's deep emotions can mirror the parents, leading to shared anxiety or overthinking, or whatever deepness, whatever emotion they're feeling at the time.
Yeah.
Frustration. Yeah. So think of how easy it is for you to ruminate and reflect on negatives and then combine that with your melancholic child who probably is lacking reason. If they're below the age of reason, it's probably lacking reason. But
no, I think at any point we're lacking some reason here too.
They could still go to that place of negativity and now multiply that by 2 and 10 and 100. And if they're hungry, by 1,000.
Yeah, it does have a kind of an atomic exponential effect here when you get two people that are ruminating on negative spin cycles together, and they're just triggering each other into deeper spin cycles here. So I've learned having a melancholic child, it is so important for me to do my own emotional resilience work.
Yes.
Oh, so important for me to do my own mind management. Because she is very much keying off, like it's co-regulation with these kids, folks.
Yes.
So
and
if
you
you're
got to go first.
melancholic parent, get our journal.
I will say this. I just heard this today actually on a coaching call. It was very cool. It was talking about leaders. And as parents, we have to be leaders. And we've always said in the past, like leaders go first. But here's another thing. Leaders go first. They go there frequently and they go there with purpose. Mm-hmm. So you go first. You go first frequently and you go there with purpose. And in this case, being a parent and being a good parent is that purpose for that.
Yeah. And the place you go first is you go to your own messy mind first, rather than trying to fix 100%. Somebody else's messy mind with your messy mind.
Yes.
Go to your messy mind, clean up that room. Our journal, again, is a great tool. You can download that, or not download it. You can go out and purchase that. Links in the show notes. Go get it and put it to use for yourself. We've even got some videos here on our YouTube channel that can help walk you through that. Okay.
Lack of motivation. And then we'll move on to
it's a phlegmatic child
thing. Yeah. Lack of motivation for the phlegmatic child.
Yep. And I think again, that ideal that the melancholic can have. And when the phlegmatic child is just like, yeah, no thanks. It's kind of like, oh, well, how do I get this kid moved and motivated towards excellence, right?
Yes.
They don't have the same particular drive towards excellence, but they do have an amazing drive towards relationship here. Okay.
Yeah.
And then finally, ways across the board, sticking with that emphasis on perfection. Overemphasis on perfection. This is where, remember, we melancholics, we can hold on to an amazing, beautiful, incredible ideal. But if we fail to see that our kids have their own ideal, have their own image of where God is calling them, or their own desires, their own wants, and it may not necessarily align with ours, and that if we need to invest in that ideal, they don't necessarily see it. Yeah. That can be a point of frustration where it's just like, why are you choosing something else? Because this is so beautiful.
Or you could, like, there's a lot of different ways this could go. You could stunt your kids' formation in excellence by being like, everything has to be perfect in the house, or something like that, where it's like, what is your area of perfection where you're kind of like drawn towards, and is it going overboard, and is it kind of stunting or getting in the way of you forming your children? Yeah.
And just on this one more point on it, there's an element of humility that is necessary for all of us as parents, that we're not creating kids in our own image. We're helping them to discover the image that God has created in them. And it may be, especially if there's different temperaments, there's going to be some differences that are there. And what would it be like to help your kid to be more excellent at discovering their own unique image and likeness to the Father? All right. I think that's possibly the primary role that all of us have, is discovering their unique identity in Christ, their kids.
It's one of the many.
Yeah.
Okay. So Matt, let's talk about your thoughts about sanguine children. And guys, in all of like this entire series, we picked one child, one particular temperament of the child to work with. And this time we're talking about the two children, actually, for this one. And then tomorrow, or next week's podcast, we're going to be talking about,
phlegmatic child. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Here we're on here on the sanguines. Okay. And so again, when you go into this report, when you download this temperaments and parenting report, you're going to see how the melancholic may work through some frustrations on each temperament, a child with each temperament. And so it's super helpful there for you to be able to just go through and kind of see what this looks like in action and how you can actually grow from this report.
What are some beliefs that a melancholic parent would think about a sanguine child or spouse.
Okay. Right. Just messiness.
They're way too messy.
They're way too messy. Scatterbrained. They are inconsistent. They don't get something done. They don't have necessarily a drive to finish things. They don't take things seriously enough. Maybe even this thought that's popped in my head is not everything needs to be a game. All right. Yeah. That's a little bit more my choleric, I think, coming in. But also they're not focused on what is important. This one I think is a big one. Oh my gosh, they just want too much.
Yeah, they desire too much.
They want too much. And in fact, that's one I want to go with here. We'll kind of put a pin in that one here. Because the frustrations that a melancholic could have with that sanguine, just the sanguine child's carefree and impulsive nature, again, can disrupt this ideal image that the melancholic has for their kid or for a routine, sticking with a routine. Yeah.
You know, I'm wondering, when you say they want too much, does it mean like they want too many like things in the world? Because I feel like a melancholic could relate to that, like having very deep desires, like they want too much. In this case, it's like, it's just they're so inconsistent. They're inconsistent because they want too much.
Yeah, I think a melancholic can get kind of flooded, right? Because where a melancholic wants to take an input and when I say input, it's like an ask. Somebody starts a conversation. Somebody gives you something to read. It's input, and it's not, when a melancholic takes an input, it's not like they just take it and then they discard it. It keeps spinning inside of that brain. And so you can easily get flooded. I find myself can get flooded with inputs.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay.
And again, that's me. I don't know if that's universal across the board.
Okay.
Okay.
So, they want too much. And I'm just asking this because, like, does this go off of they're not focused on what is in front of them? They're not focused on what is important. They're not. I'm seeing how is this specifically sanguine? Like a sanguine, they want too much.
That a sanguine wants too much.
Because we could like argue that all the other temperaments.
But I think they can go from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing.
So they're inconsistent.
Yeah, I think that's the want too much leads to the inconsistency, which leads to this, like, how can we ever just get anything?
Yes.
There's no excellence if we just go from thing to thing to thing to thing. And there's no depth if you just go to thing to thing to thing.
Okay. I just wanted to complete that thought. Okay. I wanted to see how it was.
That's helpful.
Specifically the sanguine. And then when you think, they're inconsistent because they want too much, you feel what?
I feel annoyed.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see how that's annoying. Any actions? What do you do?
Okay. Well, I'm thinking of a particular example, like where I kind of say no. Like they bring up something, I just go, no, we're just not doing that. And I even kind of will get a little bit passive aggressive, or when I say passive aggressive, it's I'll say things that are subtly shaming, like, oh, you always just want to do something new, or you always want to change from thing, like that kind of thing. Like, and behind that is like, that's bad. That's bad that you want. So there's a shaming of this desire, or the shaming of this shift. There's just kind of a shaming of the behavior across the board, but I don't think there's no guiding that's actually going on of the desire. Right. And so, yeah. Okay.
And then the fruits that you create from that.
This was painful to kind of look at this reality of what I was doing with this. So,
because this is about a particular child.
Yeah, it's about my niece. I love her, and I've talked about her before, and I've done a lot of work since then. I think, praise God, I've grown a lot and I've changed, and so in my approach. But one of the things the fruits is I never actually acknowledge the good desire that's there, or the desire, or even the desire that she has when she wants to move on to something new.
Yeah.
there's no directing of the desire because I'm just dismissing the desire. So I'm not actually stepping into my role as a parent, in this case, an uncle, and guiding that desire. But also like I am not getting rid of her desire either. That doesn't go away. And so she's continuing to ask. And then as I was like, until she doesn't ask anymore. And all of a sudden I started thinking to myself, there might be a day that she just stops asking. Mm-hmm. And I've coached adults that have told me about this experience where they just stopped asking, and they stopped asking mom and dad.
You stopped asking God.
And then they stopped asking God.
Yeah.
And so they started to shame their desires. And that just leads to a lot of frustration and self-loathing. Mm-hmm. And the opposite of what I know I'm here on this earth to do is to help people to discover, discern, activate their God-given mission, to know their unique identity in Christ. And desire
plays a big part of that.
Yeah. It's so contrary to my role as an uncle, as a formator, as a father. And so it was, boom, very convicting.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, would you say that this approach is working? Like this thought is working at the root of it? Like,
no.
They want too much. She's inconsistent. Her inconsistency is bad.
Yeah. Like that's the problem. It's not my own interior, disposition. There's this complete abdication of my own responsibility for my thoughts and my emotional life. But this question, is this approach working?
Yeah.
As a choleric primary is like super helpful for me because and even the melancholic part of me, I want to get it right.
Yeah. Or you want to at least progress.
I want to at least improve.
Yeah.
And I want to be one of those people that learns as quickly as possible. And so it's like, okay, this is not working. No, definitely not. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your role as like an actual formator or uncle in her life, like what is it when it comes to these big desires or a lot of desires she has? Because we know why she's inconsistent. She goes from one thing to another, to another, to another. And that doesn't really change, by the way, to everybody out there.
When you
as
grow
a
up.
sanguine. Yeah. As an adult sanguine, it doesn't really change.
Yep.
But a couple of things that I wish I would have been given is, hey, not every desire needs to be acted on. And there are some good ones and there are some that just kind of exhaust you. Mm-hmm. Like it's like a formation of how to distinguish between different desires. And where is that coming from?
I think as a parent or a formator here is I want to help them actually give voice to their desires. Right. And I've seen my sister do this really well with her.
Yeah.
Right. Where she's just like, hey, you're not hungry. You're bored. Right now. All right. You're looking for something new. You're just looking. And so we're not going to go with the food right now. And so just even being able to communicate that and give the child some language to recognize even the different sensations, what these different desires mean, and therefore what the appropriate response is to that. That is part of guiding the kid to understand the desire and then know the appropriate response.
Okay.
That's part of the role of a formator.
Nice. And so you were just giving some ideas of how to do that. So give voice to it.
Give voice to the desire. Ask some questions.
Yeah.
Come to understand it myself. And so I can kind of mirror it back to her. And so she can come to a deeper understanding.
I think also help them discern the desires. Like, is this worth acting on right now? Like helping them kind of taking intentional action towards the bigger ones.
Yes.
I think that's one thing I wish I had, somebody going, yeah, this is something, but this is like literally you just learned about this on lunch break and like now you're obsessed with it. Like, or there's like other desires have always been there. Right. So like just starting to sort through those things.
Yeah. I really like the coming to know the desire because I want to affirm the desire. Before I say no, because there might be a no, and that no might be a no, not right now, or no, we can do that in 15 minutes, or we're going to stay focused here for now, and that's it, right? Or no, we got to clean this up first. So I can kind of start to even guide some of the behaviors that are going to set the conditions to pursue that desire, right? But it doesn't shame the desire. I can really affirm the desire that is really good. I know you really would love to do this. I get it. We can do this. We're just not going to do that right now. If you still want to do this in 15 minutes, we can stop what we're doing now, clean this up, and we can start changing, switch directions.
I think also, just coming from a grown-up sanguine, giving the sanguine permission to not have to act on it right now, too. Permission. And I think that's like a big word. It's like, so I get it that like there's like an urge to go do this, but like you actually don't have to. Like you're just looking for something new to do. So you could literally take whatever toy you're playing with or whatever thing that you're and create something new in that moment. Like you can actually look at it a different way or create something else or have a new project or have a new assignment in what you're doing right now.
Yeah. See, what you're doing right now is you're looking at her sanguine gifts and you're engaging them by saying, okay, without changing our circumstances here, you know, because you think that's what's going to solve your boredom or your disengagement. How can we not change any of the circumstances, the toys that you're playing with, the room that you're playing in, and just insert a different approach, reframe how you can be playing with this toy or invent something new that can actually get them more engaged.
Yeah. Okay. This is a great time to do your reframes. What were some thoughts, some reframes of that? She wants too much. She's too inconsistent. What are some reframes?
This is helpful for me. And it's God's given her big desires
for a reason.
Yeah. Like, that actually gets me excited. And I think the excitement is actually coming from this wonder question. I wonder what those big desires are for.
Yeah, it kind of turns into curiosity.
Yeah, because like desires don't come without a corresponding object of those desires. To kind of get some Aquinas language here. So if they desire big, then they have a capacity to receive big.
Yes.
And there's something that's exciting and
there's
hopeful and even inspiring about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big void in the best way that is meant to be filled. Okay.
The other piece is just some reframes. You were doing this in the previous episode where you're kind of just going back to your role. Yeah. What does excellence look like in your role as a parent or the formator? And just kind of speaking that job description over you. So it's like, I get to help her redirect her desire towards, something that's going to be ultimately more satisfying, or something that's going to be healthier, something that's going to be better for her in the long run.
Which it sounds like that's what Shannon does, your sister.
She's so good at that.
She's just like, she'll redirect it like, no, you're not this, you're this, you know.
Yep.
Just remind them. Yep.
Yeah. And the other thing is like, I get to bring her some peace and stability. And this is what you were just saying before. It's like, sometimes all these desires can kind of create this frenetic, overwhelming sensation in the sanguine, and just being able to say,
we don't need to act on that right now.
Yep. It actually can create a little bit more peace. And I've even noticed that with my niece, that saying no is just kind of like, she's good with it.
Yes.
She actually appreciates, she receives
it's like
it.
Almost like a relief in a sense.
Right. Okay.
I mean, relief or disappointment, but we know which one it is.
Yeah. The other piece here is I get to affirm the good desires that are there. And this even goes back to my own story where
your own DNA.
Yeah. Where I really, my big metanoia moment where I came into my faith and owned my faith was, through theology of the body, when I recognized that these desires that I had that were getting me into all kinds of trouble at their core were really something that were very good, and there's something worth affirming, and God wanted to redeem those desires. And it's just like, wow, I get to affirm and also participate in God's redemption of those desires by ordering them towards that which will truly satisfy. Goodness gracious.
Like when the
privilege.
Child is young too, and like the neuroplasticity is like super like flexible, like what a
malleable.
There's like, this is the best time to be reaffirming desires and like helping redeem desires.
Yes.
It's the best time to do it.
Yep.
I also noticed that all of your reframes are, I get to.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, guys, because so often we will say especially when somebody's like opposite of us, like our personality is like totally opposite, we will we will end up saying like, I have to. But like, even with that reframe, I get to. And we didn't get there until we started looking at the role, till we started looking at, is this approach working? Till we started looking at what else is true around this, filling out that picture of what this sanguine child needs and wants and values, and just getting curious about them. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
Cool. All right. So the final section that we got here for the podcast is where we actually can start drawing from this parent's temperament guide and actually drawing some strategies. So we give some strategies. Now, strategies are kind of the things that you do, right? Or that can be helpful, but we don't want to just white knuckle ourselves into doing things differently. We want to make sure that interiorly, right, through these reframes, this is why we do this. We're actually our interior life, the thoughts we're thinking, our emotional life are inclining us to naturally do those things.
Yeah. So I'll read off the strategies that we suggest. And then, like Matt was saying, it won't be a permanent change unless like the mindset is done around it first. Okay. So strategy creates. So this is strategy for melancholic parents with sanguine children. Create routines that include flexibility for spontaneity, balancing their need for fun and with your need for structure. I remember, can I just speak to this real quick? I remember going through coach training, and we all had this like mastermind. We had to figure out like different ways to like teach the lessons that we've been taught. And one of the lessons was on time management. And I think our entire group was sanguine. Like nobody told me that, but I just like guessed just by knowing them. And that was the hardest lesson we had to learn. It was like time blocking, but I remember that the coach, she like reframed it, and she was like, we're not going to call this time blocking or schedule or even a routine. We're going to call it time design, like where you want to, like the things that you value the most. And I love the idea of like creating, like spontaneity blocks, where you can just do whatever you want. Anyway. Yeah. Just wanted to add to that.
No, and this is also like when my niece comes over to play with Avila, I know that the playroom in Avila's room is going to be a huge mess, right? So and it's like if I'm not going to be there constantly policing the going from toy to toy to toy to toy, which I'm not, then it's coming to an acceptance that it's going to be a mess, but also setting the expectation up front. Now, remember, one of the rules we have is when you come over and you take a toy out, when you're done, you're going to be responsible for putting it back.
But you make it a game when they clean up.
Yes.
Which is like so great. And she's actually way better at cleaning up than Avila is. So
I mean, she just boom, boom, boom. That's the phlegmatic secondary I think she's got. So she's wonderful there. Okay.
All right. Avila, so another strategy, use positive reinforcement to encourage follow through and on responsibilities. Sorry. Did I just press something?
No.
You guys hear me? Okay. And then incorporate lighthearted moments into discipline to reduce friction while maintaining boundaries, standards, and invitations to excellence. It's all very balanced, actually. And then finally, recognize that they connect more easily in joy than in sadness.
And this is actually the strategy that I want to be more intentional with, or I have been a little bit more intentional with. And the thought that's behind this, creating more joy and kind of a lighthearted approach, is I want my niece to have good memories of me and being at my house. That was one. And so even that like appeals to kind of my melancholic side here as well. I want them to have good memories of their time here. And even the thought, I can really delight in her in this whole process, right? And I get to delight in her. So that's just been kind of, even the interaction that we have can be very tender, but it can also be like, oh, come on, are you kidding me? Just we can laugh about some of the stuff.
Yeah. She's got a great sense of humor too.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Do melancholics connect in sadness?
We sure do. Yeah.
Interesting. I just read that and I was like, that is so interesting. It just like made me think about it in a different way.
Absolutely. Like I was just telling you, like just under the table with Avila, she was feeling sad.
Oh, okay.
So like that's an example. It's like, okay, I can go here. This is fine. And I don't have to fix it. I don't drag her out or anything. I can just sit here with her. And that I have found just sets conditions for her to start to just get out of the funk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think that's it.
Yeah. Hope this has helped you, melancholic parents. If it's helped you, please throw a comment in the YouTube channel, or if you're listening on podcasts or iTunes or something like that, go and please give us a review and tell us just what your thoughts are on the podcast here. 5 stars helps us to really get to the top of people's lists, and we get more of this work out there. If you got other melancholic parents, 40% of us are those melancholic parents. All right. So take this episode, share this with them, share the guide with them.
Yeah.
I'm giving a lot of stuff here.
And the test so they can figure out what their kids are. Also the assessment, they can take it. So you may not even know for a fact that they are melancholic, but they can take the assessment. And also we do have our academy. If any of these thoughts, these beliefs that the melancholic parent has that you're like, just keeps coming back.
A little sticky.
This is what the academy is for. One of the things that we do in the academy is we provide mindset coaches that we've trained, and you can come and work with them. So like, that's kind of awesome. And we also have a 7-day free trial. So, but there's a lot of, communication happening, a lot of conversations happening around the temperament. So you're going to feel very welcome if you come in, even if it's for 7 days, but go check that out. And I think that's it, guys.
Cool.
We'll see you next week.
All right.
Hang
Phlegmatic parents, you're next. Hey, thanks for sticking with us in the Catholic Coaching Podcast. If you like what you heard,
please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again.